Good afternoon, traders, and welcome to Awesome Calls Trading Review for June 1st, 2020. May is now officially over, and we are heading into June. We started today on a beautiful Monday. I got up, nice weather out here in California, and so today I started researching first thing in the morning. Um, I do want to mention one thing. One of my past guys I used to follow a lot was his name was Speedy Calls, and my friend notified me this morning that Speedy is back on Twitter again. He took about a few years off, and for those that don't know who he is, let me show you. This is Speedy Calls. Amador let me know that he was back on, so I do follow him, and I had to remove somebody from my feed. But this is Speedy Calls. So, in my opinion, he's a must follow. He is he does a lot of options, um, breaks down a lot of stuff, informative feed. I do enjoy following him. I've been following him for years, but just as of late, he's decided to start tweeting again. So, we used to follow that other lady in the bio world, but she doesn't tweet anymore. Uh, Hold on a second. I see a little trade here. Let's see if I can take out that high. Okay, I can buy that pullback right there. Let me just pull it back real quick. Drop drive it there. Get it right there and then pop it real quick. Get it right there. Sell into that pop. Got it. Thank you. There it goes. Sell into the pop. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. More pop. Go through 888. Okay, there's 88, 720, 18. Okay. So I made a few bucks. Nothing really running, I'll tell you that. Okay, so I got up this morning and I went through CNBC, and then, as you know, I have two scan services I use. This is Newsware, which I use fly on the wall, and everyone knows I like to use the famous briefing.com, which I've been there for years and years and years and years. And here is briefing. I use InPlay Plus, and if you look at the summary this morning, click here, click here. On ScanX this morning, they had quite a few plays going in pre-market. I'll show it to you. This is pre-market, pre-market. These are the scans in the morning for briefing. And again, for me, it's all about range and news. News and range. I have to have those two big things. And so today I saw that IMMP was up 30%, Kayad was up, Beyond Meats was already moving, Myrna was up. I saw NBRV already down 20%, so I thought, this is at 4 o'clock in the morning, okay? 4:06 Eastern, my time, 7 o'clock your morning. So then I started, and scans came out about 5 o'clock. Zynga was up. They did an agreement to acquire Peak Mobile. Again, Syad. Alt was up. Sagen. Beyond was up. Partners with Yuma to introduce Beyond Burger, which is KFC, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell. That's huge for Beyond Meats, especially with what's going on with meat today. So very, very, very good. There was an upgrade on Guggenheim um, and a couple other things. So I started for my list, and of course, as you all know, I like to go to Palmer pre-market, and I always like to go through his ticker list because he does a lot of research in the morning for us, and that's where I picked up NTLA. I picked up. I saw beyond the comments that I was going to pick up. I saw Crowd up, uh, and I love Crowd because it's a play into earnings. So I wanted to play Crowd today. If it was gapping up 2 or 3 points, I thought it would be a great play for us. I believe there was WRTC was up by the time I saw that when DGLI was running, and I know that stock pretty comfortable because it's a former runner. Um, And TLA was up. I figured that was a pop and fade. Alt was going to be a pop and fade. ACMR, no direct news. But what I did is once I looked at ACMR, I liked it. So I punched up the news. And this is for the fly on the wall. Again, I saw nothing on it. So then I went to my actual scan itself, ACMR, and I saw nothing on it again. So then I went over to briefing to see if there was anything on ACMR, and I'll punch it up for you. So I do a lot of things when I see stock gapping up. I want to know why it's up. So I hit AMCR and I see nothing for June 1st. Okay, so how do you play a stock like that? This is a perfect read. Okay, if you have a stock up, okay, and it's pushing four points to the upside, 3, 4, 5 points, or whatever, and it's gapping up, but you don't have any news regarding why it's up, chances are that stock will end up gap filling, which gives you a beautiful short to trade, and then you can re-long it for an upside move, which is really, really nice. Hold on, let me do a scalp here. I think I can get $10 on this. Okay. And so this is just a real simplistic trade for the chat room and myself this morning. So it was really easy to do. Um, and then what I do at that point is, let me get this off my screen. That way I won't look at it. Because I keep looking at it and I keep wanting this move here. Sorry. Just do it work. I want that move right there. But I think what I'm going to do for now, I'm going to finish my webinar and just get it off screen. So I don't keep looking at it. So I'm going to take it off screen. Okay, so now I'm not looking at it. Okay, so what I want to do here is, so then I picked this one up through CNBC in the morning. I start to see it go through because, and then on ACMR, I just simply looked at the move today and looked at a 5-day chart, and I see it gapping up here on ACMR. Okay, so how do I set this up for the traders in the chat room? Well, again, if I see a gap up in the morning with no significant news, the first inkling I want to do is short the stock. If I can go through 3 different scans and I can't find anything, and then my last resort is on Twitter, which basically I went to Palmer and he said up thin, no direct news. So he's already spent 20, 30 minutes looking for it for himself. So right then and there, it tells me, okay, this should gap fill, but there's a reason so it's up. So I'm going to go ahead and call for a gap fill to 60, a bottom curl. So I don't think it'll fully gap fill, and then hit around because it closed at 59.79 on Friday. So I'm thinking, okay, gap fill to 50 to 60, bottom curl, and then long to the upside back to new highs. And that was the trade. So if you look how I looked for it, so again, there's no news on ACMR, right? So I basically created a trade out of thin air just by being a gap up. Then I come over here, I form the chat room, what I want to do on this. Okay, ACMR, gapping up 3. Do not buy unless it pops at the open. Otherwise, look for a pullback to 60, bottom curl, wait for it, and then go long to $65 a share. That's your trade. That's the entire trade. Created out of just a gap. What does that mean to you? 200 shares short, go long at 600, at 60. If it goes up 5 points, you make $1,000 for the day on $12,000 buying power. So here's the trade. Here's the setup. Ding, 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 ding. Here's the gap fill. I said go long at 60. There's the 60 touch. It hit $60.01. Ran it up to the upside, and there you go. And it hit right here. I'll show you. $60.01 to $67 a share. You buy 200 shares on the dip, 12,000 buying power, and walk it up. You sell 100 at half, and then the other 100 at another half, and you basically make. If you stay 5 points, you make 1,000. If you stay 4 points, you make 800. If you stay 3 points, you make 600. on 12,000 buying power on a stock that was just created out of nothing. Okay. Let's do another one that was similar to that, EBS. Okay, this is another stock. I've never traded EBS. I have no clue what it was. It's like, what is this? Now, EBS is gapping up considerably, 83 to almost $90 a share. So again, I want to know, why is it gapping up? So I go to my filters and I go EBS. I punch it up and it says today on June 1st, issued task order for COVID-19 vaccine development. So another COVID-19 in the news development. And hold on. I get my eyes off it for a minute and it pops 60 cents. It just doesn't move after that. There's 88.99. There's 8.89. Can't really buy that there. You're gonna get killed. 95, 89, 8. Can't buy. Oh man, there it goes. Now it rips. Tesla ripped. Not a lot, but it broke off that 89 and stayed up there without any pullback on it. And it stopped when I bought it right there. Okay, I made a few bucks on that. Yeah. It didn't run though, which is what I wanted. Okay, so on this one, another COVID-19 development type of idea in the chat room. And so on that one, I basically looked at it and said, all right. So I look at the stock on EBS. I come over here and it's gapping up significant. So my thing on the COVID-19 being thin up, I'm thinking I could probably gap fill it at least halfway or more. So that was my first instinct. Pop at the open, scale in short, and take it. But if I wanted to long it before the short came in, I wanted to get through 91. And if you got through 91, you were going to have a move to about 92, 93. And so that's kind of how I set it up for the chat room when I wrote it down on the notes. EBS, look for a pop at open to 93 to actually to 95, then let it top off and then go short it. So it really was a great setup. Even though it was gapping up 10, I felt that the stock would actually, because it was thin, get up a little bit more. So I really wasn't telling you to short it just yet, but look for the pop. Because of the thinness of the stock should run and then pop at the open, scale in short, and then take it down. And that's exactly what happened. If you look at the stock, you simply did just that. Okay? Hold on a second. Okay, it's pulling back now. Nice little run to 890. Just did a gradual, slow run to 890. I have to give it props though, because it was slow, it was methodical. It did just what I wanted. 890. It just took forever. And so on this one, I just wanted to simply gap fill this after the initial pop. So again, I wanted a long to 93 to 95. So scale in long at 93. Add room to 95 if it comes, and then just take it down. So if you went and followed the notes to a T, took short 93 area, topped off, scaled in, but gave it room to 95 to add, have an average. In the first hour or two, it came down to 91, so that's a 2-point trade, and events came down to 89, which in all, that's a 4-point trade. Again, simplistic, easy. Then DGLY. Again, this is what I was talking about over the weekend on Saturday, knowing the moves before the moves. Shop is kind of breaking out. I haven't traded Shop all day. Thinking it's making a move here. Now, Shop is going to be a little tricky. Spreads are just horrendous. 754.20, 755. So you're going to be down 80 cents the minute you pull the trigger. But the stock is moving, and there are buyers right here. So I'm thinking I can scalp it. What's the range? See that? You got to watch that pullback. You see, if you bought it at 25 and it pulled down to 96, you would have lost 30. You got to be careful of this gap right here. They can tend to pull it and then push it back up. But it looks like a breakout coming at 756. It's a key area there. If it breaks out there, it would take out, head towards this high of the day. So something to look out for. And I have to pass on it for now because I'm doing the webinar. The DGLY, again, was gapping up. Now, again, you got to recognize your former runners. First of all, why is DGLI up? Well, it's not on briefing.com or briefing in play. So why is it up? Well, because of body cameras, equipment, right? And with what went on over the weekend, this brought this stock back into light. Now, very thin in the morning, as you can see, extremely thin. Here's the gap, closed at a $1.12, sitting up here at 340 and ran to 5 on very little volume. I mean, we're talking 2,000 shares. I mean, we're talking 3,000 shares. I mean, the volume was so thin, but once it pulled back in pre-market, it started to gain a base. This is what a base looks like. Now, the first thing I've done over the years, I have traded DGLI. And typically, on any upgrade or news they put out, it is a short. It's a solid short. There's no ands, ifs, or buts. It's a solid short. And so what I tend to do on those is, hold on, I want to take this off my site too, so I'm not staring at it. So how do you recognize a former runner? Well, you just go to a 3-year chart. I'm trying to teach you, right? And then you just start to look. Oh, you see, former runners have a pattern. What's the pattern? They pop on news. So look at this. In 2000, what? In 2000, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, again, $3 to $5. This one popped on news to $2.26 to 3.53. This one popped on news, 259 to 495. And this is how DGLA trades. They love to trade it on news. And so all I did was I looked at the gap this morning and I said to myself, okay. Then I went to the base. Here is what the base looks like. You see how it based right here at 180? It wouldn't break that. 2 times it tried to do that. So they kind of set a precedence. This was the bottom. So we just simply wanted to trade it at the 2 level. As long as it made a curl and broke out over 2, we would get a run to 275 to 250. If you bet 1,000 shares, you make $500 on 2,000 buying power, or $600. So if you break that down, $2,000 in your account, you bought 500 shares, all right? You would have made, let's say 350. If you bought 1,000 shares, you would make 500, 400, or 300 on 2,000 buying power because of basically what I looked at. So what I did is I set the chart up. Buy at 2, risk to 180, stock should go to 250 to 275. Okay? So this is what I was going to do. And so then I come over here, and here's the setup. Number 1 stock in the room. Start longing at $2. So in pre-market, I'm already doing the notes. Long at $2, long at $2, long at $2. Go to 180. There's your risk. I set your risk parameters, and the stock should pop to 250, 275. If it gets through that and have a solid move, we'll go to 354. If not, the stock will pull back. Okay? And there we go. And because I recognized it was a former runner, I gave everyone an opportunity in the chat room to make money. I made money. So even 1,000 shares at 18 cents would have made you $180. So that was that trade. The next one was AESC. This was a fun trade this morning. This wasn't a former runner, but more of a sell-off stock. Now, what was interesting about this one is when I went to do the research on it, there was really no significant news. So I went to all my and where I caught this was CNBC on a gap up. I saw a gap up of like $1 or 2, and I'm thinking, why are you up? I come over here, nothing on AESE, nothing, absolutely nothing. There's no news. Then I went over to my Palmer, nothing, not even anything on his feed. Like, okay, but I want to trade this. This is a doable trade. but he doesn't have anything listed. So I'm like, how does the one day work? Sign up tonight. I get tips tomorrow. Yes, yes, my friend. Do a monthly, and I will. So, I don't want to give the walk away. Okay, so on this one, so I'm looking and I go to briefing and I punch it up and I go AECE. Nothing, nothing. So my last resort is to go to Twitter. I have to go to Twitter. So I just simply go AESC, punch it up, and I just scroll down and look at the top tweets, and I don't see anything. I'm just like, okay, well, I got to create a trade out of nothing, and that's exactly what I did. So the way that I set these up, when I can't find anything newsworthy of it, I tend to get a set of parameter on it. And what I try to do on this, because I know how to trade these small cap stocks, I tell traders, listen, do not long the stock unless it pops to 450 with volume. This is really critical when you're setting up a play, all right, in the morning. If it hits this level with volume, and I'm talking volume of 200, 300, 500,000 shares, the stock will technically start to rip, and we can get a nice squeeze for a point and a half, and then we're done with it before it comes back down. Otherwise, just scale in short and just look at the gap fill it back down to 350, all day fader. And that's exactly how we set it up. Again, it's already gapping up at 0.50. There's no significant use. So for us in this chat room to set up this play to make money on this opportunity, we don't want to do it unless it hits that 450 spot. And that tells everyone in the chat room, don't buy it unless it hits 450. And there we go. So ding, 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 ding. This is really critical when you're in our chat room. It's not a formal runner. No reasons, no significant reasons to pop. I come over here, and here we go. So here's the sell-off. Then it starts to move. Again, this is a nice move between 340 and 440. But I don't want anyone buying it till it hits 450. This is a breakout spot for me at 450. I break that, I run. I want you to look what happened. As soon as the crow came, here's the buyer, 1 million shares. Remember I said you have to have a buyer. There's your buyer, 1 million shares, 450. Guess what? 594. What does that mean to you? That means that you wait for that 450, buy 500 shares, 1,000 shares, 4,500 buying power, $2,400 buying power, and just play it out 1 point. If you bought 500 shares, you got a point, $500 on what? $2,400. If you bought 1,000 shares on 4,000 buying power, you made $1,000 on this trade. Just knowing what the stock would do. Again, this is experience. This is just pure instinct and experience is what you're getting in the room. This thing would have paid your monthly in 2 seconds right off the bat. And then you can see from there, this is what we call a topping. A topping here, and it didn't break out here. Lower low set in, and now it's just completely fading. And within a couple of days, this will be back down to 240 and under. So was it a great for a short seller? It's going to be a nice payday in a couple of days. Decent enough today. I mean, this range between is 580 and 420. I mean, people live and breathe for that. But this move here, this was amazing. This was pure amazing. Okay? So these were really good plays. And then, of course, here's our shop. I mean, this was a beauty today. Again, shop has a range. I love trading shop on range. Whether the market's flat, gapping up, gapping down, I got range. Well, today, you can clearly see I had range. All right, the stock had closed at 760, and was gapping down to 754. And I'm sitting there, actually it closed over here. I apologize. At 13. So it closed, I think, at 755. It was gapping up to 760. So when I looked at that and I said to myself, and then it started pulling, it looked like it was gapping flat right here. If you look, it's kind of just flat. So once I looked at it, I thought, you know what? Pull that open to 740, bottom curl, long it. You'll be done in like 5 minutes, 20 minutes on this trade. And this is exactly how we set it up. So if you look, I didn't go a range between 730 and 735, 740 to 742. When I got up, I just looked at it. There was no ands, ifs, but 740 is the key. Hit that, we long it. Now, what does that mean to you? Well, if you longed at 740 on a limit order and you waited for it and you got filled within within 11 minutes, you made 10 points. Within 12 minutes, you made 12 points. Within 30 minutes, you made 15 points. Within 45 minutes, you made 17 points just by reading a note. And here's the trade. And here's the note. Shop. Shop will pull, flush it open to 740. Bottom curl, long to 765. Stock hit 757. Again, experience, right? Conviction, understanding the move, understanding the market. You want to be a consistent day trader. Nail these small cap, large cap, mid caps. I showed you a $50 stock. I showed you an $80 stock. I showed you a $5 stock. I showed you a $2 stock. I showed you a $700 stock. All right. It's all about the move. It's all about understanding what the stock's going to do. Here's another one. Crowd today. This is a great play. What made it great? We have earnings coming up. This is already being bought in significantly into earnings the last 20 days alone. I mean, look at this. 72 to 95. Hello. If they don't have blowout earnings, this thing's going to be this thing's going to tuck. But my guess is even if they have blowout, they'll probably just sell off halfway back down before they move up on profit taking. But again, it's moving up significant as earnings are coming up this week with Zoom. Zoom was another one, gapping up. And this was gapping up. Again, look at the last 20 days, 150 to 200. That's a $50 move, all into earnings. Will I play this into earnings? No. Chances are we're going to get a sell-off on this sucker. They need to blow out, and I mean blow out to get it to 220, 250. And even then, you're still going to get a significant sell-off. Look at the backholders for the last 6 months. Look what they've started from 80 to 200. You don't think they're going to want to dump? I mean, come on. This is their moment of glory, right? But with crowd, I felt the stock had room to $93 before it became any short with room to 95. Zoom, I felt would pop at the open with the gap up. If you look at the gap up on Zoom this morning, pretty significant. I mean, it closed over here at the 177, and it's gapping up to 183. I figured the stock would probably roar to 183 to 187 and then kind of give back a little bit. But this thing, just buy 100 shares, man. In hindsight, you wish you could just go back and go, oh, if I knew that, I would have bought 500. Just what a day. Are you kidding me? But I got green on this, and that's all that mattered. And then with crowd, I was just kind of looking for a nice move to the upside and then a slow fader, some sort of gap fill. And that was pretty much that. So these two were very nice plays. I would be very cautious into earnings. I can't stress it enough, but they're going to be fun. And I can tell you right now, just looking at the chart, crowd is coming up on, I'll show you right now. Crowd is coming up right there on June 2nd. Hold on. Yeah, June 2nd. Earnings is June 2nd. After market, which is tomorrow. And Zoom comes up June 2nd after market. So you have two massive plays after the close tomorrow. So crowd and Zoom. All right. So again, this is the if you do open up a briefly in play, the first 30 days are free. Tell them AJ sent you, and they'll give you a discount on the ongoing. I do like them. It's in briefing in play plus is what I'm after. Gives me everything I'm looking for. And their IPO write-ups are phenomenal. I'll show you a little example of what they have in their system. And they do a full article. You click the button, and bam, you got all these IPOs graded, written down for you to play. Great research, great work, and this is just beautiful. I mean, I love them, and I've been using them since first year I started day trading, and I haven't looked back. Right, so there's that one. And then, of course, the scan I love to use is Newsware or Newswatch. And this is Newswatch. And Bill Olson is the creator of this one. And I always request fly on the wall. And this way I can have access to fly on the wall, which looks like this. And I can just punch up any stock, see if there's any news on it, and just trade the stock. So, all right. And those were today's plays today. Nice list today. Really worked hard, put everything together. We traded a lot of different unique stuff and had a wonderful day. Thank you, and we'll do this again tomorrow.